Magandang gabi po sa inyong lahat. Today, my dear friends, we're celebrating Tuesday of the third week in Ordinary Time. And we celebrate also today the memorial of Saints Timothy and Titus, disciples of Saint Paul. They have been faithful companions of Paul in fulfilling his mission. And you can read them in the New Testament, in the epistles of Paul himself. In fact, he himself wrote them letters that would tell us of their role in the history of the church. And the gospel that we have heard, coming from St. Luke, presents to us the sending of the other 72 disciples. Most of the time, when we hear this gospel, we focus on the mission. And that is right. No? The details surrounding the commissioning. No? The details surrounding the sending off of the 72. Jesus gave them the nitty-gritty of discipleship, of mission. Ano ang kailangang gawin? Ano ang dapat gawin? But there is something in today's gospel that perhaps we miss and fail to reflect on. Luke begins by telling us that Jesus appointed 72 other disciples whom he sent ahead of him in pairs. He sent them in pairs. Dalawa-dalawa. Siguro ang sasabihin ng iba sa atin, o nga, no? Bakit dalawa-dalawa pa? Pwede namang bahala na ako sa sarili ko. Ako na lang. Kaya ko naman mag-isa to. Well, it is because discipleship, mission, faith, is not just about fulfilling a particular task. It's not just about fulfilling responsibilities. Church life, it's not a list of do's. It's not a list of tasks to be achieved, to fulfill. To live as a church, to be a disciple, is first and foremost to be human. To be human. And to be human is to be a social being. To be human is to interact with people. To be human is to know others and have yourself known by others. And therefore, what is being emphasized is human relationships. Timothy and Titus were not followers of Christ in the beginning. But when they met Paul, they established a relationship with him. And the relationship was not corporate-like. It was an intimate friendship with him. An intimate friendship. And if you read the letter of Paul to Timothy, sinasabi pa ni St. Paul, how I miss you, how I long to be with you. Lalo na ngayong mga huling araw ko na, huling oras ko na sa mundong ito, while he was in prison. And that tells us of the relationship between Paul and Timothy. Ganun din kay Titus. Timothy and Titus played an important role. They became messengers, assistants of Paul in the mission, and later on they themselves became bishops. But prior to those things, Timothy and Titus became friends of Paul. Human relationships. The disciples of our Lord, the 12 apostles, before they understood things about the ministry, before they understood mission, They first understood how to have a sound relationship with the Master, to be human. And therefore, faith is not something that is achieved on our own. Growth is not something that happens on our own. It happens in human relationships. But we are afraid of that. I am sure all of us would share the same sentiment that somehow, somewhere, at some point in our lives, we are afraid to establish relationships with people. Why are we afraid? Because in establishing a relationship with a person or with a flock is to give a part of yourself away. You build trust, confidence, and you give time to know the person, to address their needs. You give yourself to the person. And we are afraid of that. Why are we afraid of that? Because of a wrong perception of human relationships. We always look at the end of it. Bakit ako makikipagkaibigan sa kanya? Baka sa huli, gamitin lang ako niyan. Bakit ko kakaibiganin ito? Kilala ko mga angkan niyan. Baka sa huli, pagsamantalahan lang ako niyan. Or for the young people, bakit ako makikipagkaibigan sa iyo kung hindi rin naman magiging tayo? Laging nakatingin sa huli. May tumatawa sa gilid. No? Tsaka sa likod. Laging nakatingin sa kung saan pupunta. Whenever we establish human relationships, we look at the end and what this end will give me. And if I think the end will not give me what I want, then never mind. But faith grows not in that manner. Mission is fulfilled not in that manner. We look at the process. We look at the now, the present of human relationships. What this relationship demands from me so that the other may be a better person. Ano yung pwede kong gawin? Ano yung maibibigay ko? At sa prosesong iyon, tinutulungan mo yung tao na maging mas mabuti. Na magkaroon ng magandang pananaw sa kanyang sarili. At sa prosesong yun, ikaw rin naman, mas nakikilala mo ang iyong sarili. And that is, if there is real love. Love that desires the good of the other. Mission was fulfilled by Timothy and Titus because it all began with a sound human relationship. Pope Francis, in his letter Fratelli Tutti, emphasizes this. Oh, how he wishes that we could restore that beautiful thing, that beautiful relationship among people. Appreciate the people around you. Do not be afraid to say hello. Do not be afraid to say hi, to smile, to say how are you, to spend time with them. Kahit na hindi mo ka-close, i-close mo yung tao. But we have to go beyond what this world expects. We have to go beyond our own selfish desires. Love, in its purest sense. Love, in its most authentic sense. And that paves the way towards fulfilling the mission, to take part in the mission of Christ. And so today we examine ourselves. Why am I afraid to establish relationships? Sino-sino yung mga taong iniiwasan ko? At bakit? At ang dasal natin ay sana maging mas malawak ang ating isipan at wag maging madamot sa tunay na kahulugan ng pagmamahal na nagdadala sa ikabubuti, hindi ikasasama ng iba. To all our parishioners from Holy Family Parish,
Merry Christmas and Happy